Hi there, Capricorn. Welcome to a special reading, which is a Twin Flames reading for September and October 2019. I'm Raina. I had to start over again. That's why the card's already out. This is a reading for 2 months instead of one because I've never done this before. And the type of reading that this is not like this is going to happen or something like that. It's more of you with somebody you've already identified as a twin flame, and this is like your journey together and what it looks like. Now, I did want to just briefly mention a couple of things in case somebody is watching this who isn't sure if the person that they're with or that they keep going on and off again with is a twin flames. This website that I got this spread from is called emeraldlotus.ca, and this person provided a little info about twin flames. It's very brief, from soulevolution.org. And it states, twin flames are the other half of our soul. We each have only one twin, and generally after being split, the two went their separate ways, incarnating over and over to gather human experience before coming back together. Ideally, this happens in both of their last lifetimes on the planet so they can ascend together. So you probably haven't had many lifetimes with your twin. Each twin is a complete soul, not a half a soul. It is their task to become more whole, balancing their female and male sides, and ideally become enlightened before reuniting with their twin. This reunion is of two complete and whole beings. All other relationships through all our lives could be said to be practice for the twin, the ultimate relationship. And then there's just a little paragraph that I want to read that they mention as well from Alpha Imaging. When twin flames do incarnate together, the coming together is often chaotic and stressful, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. The relationship is very intense. The romantic, loving version we all think of is really for twin souls. Twin flames come together as two mirrors of each other. They are there to reflect back to each other the truth of themselves. What is reflected is not only the beauty of themselves, but also their imperfections, attachments, and emotional baggage. So there can be that sense of the relationship not being as smooth sailing as, you hear about, in romantic movies where everything is just perfect. But there could be a lot of kind of intensity, intense scenes, experiences. What I would like to know from you as somebody who doesn't know much about twin flames is if you feel that you're in that relationship with somebody, how do you know? Like, what is it? Is it just a gut feeling? Is there some kind of synchronicity? That's what I'm curious about. And because I want to know how we can tell the difference between a twin flame relationship and a toxic, hellish relationship, or can they be one and the same? Can the toxic relationships be twin flame relationships? I'm almost beginning to think so, but that doesn't mean that I think people should stay in toxic relationships. So the full title of this spread is Twin Flame Tarot Spread, Getting the Most Out of This Lifetime. And the person or who created it calls their site, it's called emeraldlotus.ca, but it says here on the spread, Emerald Lotus Divination. So this was from Pinterest, I guess, but sometimes you Google things and they just come up. I probably saved it from Pinterest, come to think about it. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you what each position represents, and we can take it from there. So the first card, I'm just going to read exactly what it says. Card to represent our energy. So you and the other person. So the Six of Pentacles, since you're an earth sign, Capricorn, this is a very grounded, practical kind of an energy. And it's talking about give and take. So there seems to be a sense of balance. In this picture, the person is holding scales. So it's like each one is contributing to the other what they need, and being able to, so you have like a sense of cooperation, I would say, and a sense of mutual, I don't want to say satisfaction, but mutual gain from the relationship. You know how some relationships that we have, and it doesn't have to be romantic, it can be like friendships, let's say, where one person seems to be doing most of the heavy lifting in the relationship, where it doesn't seem like that here. By the way, someone said to me, well, my twin is my daughter, I don't know, something like that. Somebody wrote to me about their twin flame being somebody other than a romantic partner. And I just totally forgot that that could be the case, because I just always am thinking about soulmates and kind of, being interchangeable about this. So for sure, the twin flames relationship can be another non-romantic type of relationship. The second card is what our purpose is together in this lifetime. So the purpose meaning that what we came here to do as a couple, and we have the Seven of Wands. To me, the Seven of Wands is like pushing back. And it's interesting because Capricorn is a very traditional sign. Your ruler is Saturn, and there is that sense of tradition, respecting what has come before you and all that jazz. But my experience is that not all Capricorns follow this template in the classic sense of the word. So I'm assuming that you and this other person, and I don't know what sign they are, but you might follow in this particular regard, because the Seven of Wands to me is more about somebody who refuses to conform, and therefore is on the defensive. So it's about standing your ground. Well, if you have to stand your ground, it means that somebody is coming at you. And both of you may act as a team. It's like there's strength in numbers or something. And so you might be the, Capricorn who is a hippie, who is somebody who goes against the grain. And hippie meaning counterculture. You might have your own business, maybe you're a Reiki healer or something, and you're not plugged into that 9-to-5 grid necessarily. And so you might threaten other people who don't think like you. Or even if you are in what we call a straight job, you might still harbor some attitudes that set you apart from others. And chances are, if you're watching a tarot reading, you're probably an empath. So regardless of what sign you are, you may feel things at a deep level, and you can kind of sense what people are trying to do, like when they're trying to put you down in a subtle way and stuff like that. You know how people can be, where they're trying to diminish another person through some of their little offhanded comments. And the other person has your back. And it's like I feel like you're like a double team. You double team people, or you just kind of take up for the other person and they take up for you. So it's like us against the world type of a feel to it. And as a sense of purpose, what does that mean? It could mean to preserve a person's dignity, where the way things are set up, that you will get accused of being in the wrong if you refuse to accept certain labels that other people want to slap on you. And it's calling them out for their own, sometimes, hypocrisy, because sometimes people pride themselves on being so tolerant. And if you go against what they believe in, then they attack you. But they love to see themselves as tolerant. but they're only tolerating what feels okay to them. They're not really tolerating things across the board. So, it could be where you live, where you're surrounded by certain types of people, or just how you grew up. That could factor into things. It could go the other way around. You may have been raised by hippies and you're trying to, live in a very conservative area or something, and people are not accepting you, and you're trying to, it's not that you're trying to be a hippie, but you're just trying to be accepted for who you are. And so it really doesn't matter what you are. The point is you're not what others want you to be. But you and this person kind of stand out from the pack. And this helps others, I think, in its own way, see that we don't have to be like everyone else, that we can't be anybody else, really. I mean, the people that try to be something that they're not end up a lot of times feeling like they don't have a sense of themselves. And really, it's like when you start to care about who you are and you do everything you can to find out who you are, then you won't be attacking other people and trying to get them to be something that they're not. That only happens when people don't know who they are, that they're trying to get others to be like them. Okay? An important lesson that you must learn in this lifetime, or I should say you and this person, Ace of Swords, the truth of a situation, the clarity in a situation. And that's a very interesting thing, because for some people, if you were raised in a dysfunctional family, and we can make a joke and say, okay, name somebody who hasn't been raised in a dysfunctional family. But I'm talking about, in particular, one of the big ones is addiction, alcoholism, and other such situations. One of the things that is a big deal is there can be a sense of not being, not feeling that clarity in the home, that you're being lied to by your parents, that they are presenting your perception as something other than what it is, and that can lead to a lifetime of like questioning your perceptions. And you usually have one parent who's the sick one and the other one who is covering up for that one. And so they they might be doing it to protect the child, but it doesn't work, and it leads to a lifetime of questioning one's own sense impressions. I thought I heard mommy crying. Oh no, mommy, she just, busted her toe. I thought you two were yelling. No, we were doing this. Why is dad asleep in the middle of the day? He's just tired. Those kinds of things where you know something isn't right. So this is really about cutting through illusion and deception. And sometimes, again, with the mirror concept, one person in this couple may be the one who is really lying, being deceitful, cheating. But when I say cheating, going behind the other person's back. And so, as awful as that feels, it just provides contrast to show why honesty is so important. Why it's so important. how can we grow from this lesson? This lesson of clarity, of being impeccable in your word, of clarity of thought and speech. Page of Pentacles. Page can be messages, communication, and Pentacles is that earth element. I would say, this is just my own take on it, is being straightforward in all of your communication. Do not create any kind of convoluted dialogue. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And it solves a lot of problems. It's like, I was just thinking about Taurus, one of your fellow earth signs with Virgo, Capricorn, and actually, you know, I see the Hermit at the top of the thing. Maybe this person is a Virgo. But I was thinking today how a Taurus person typically, you know, what you see is what you get in that person, where they're very kind of like, this is who I am, and they're very like open about it, and how refreshing that is. Because some people hide behind a facade, and some people are very inauthentic. They're not showing who they are. They're not being who they are. And I think a lot of times people can tell. They can tell when a person is phony. So to me, the Page of Pentacles is about just the unadorned truth, and in general, everything that you discuss is from a practical standpoint, not trying to be, you know, a flim-flam man or woman, but just at a very basic level, so that other people can understand as clearly as possible, and so that so not only that you convey your thoughts and feelings in a very simple way, but also that you are, you know, you're communicating that way, but you're also expecting that from the other person. And I'm not just talking about the twin flame, but all of your relationships. And I would say, too, keeping an open communication between the two of you. Okay, what our lives can look like after completing this lesson. Interesting. This can go different ways. One way, this can be a three-party relationship. So an example of honesty, like very clear honesty, could be, you know what, I don't want to be in a one-on-one relationship. Now, if your partner told you that, and there could be some of you dealing with that, if your partner told you that, how would you react? Actually, some of this that I was thinking of, there's a couple on YouTube who have a polyamorous lifestyle, and I found out they're both Capricorns, and that is really hilarious to me because it seems so atypical. They probably have a lot of Aquarius and Sag energy or Sag energy in their personal planets, especially Aquarius, because this type of lifestyle really kind of is totally, you know, unconventional, which is, you know, one of the big things of Aquarius. And so I could see it being more that than even Sagittarius, which can definitely be into, you know, living life independently, but I think there's a shock value with Aquarius. Aquarius is kind of like the pioneering, well, I don't like that word, the ahead of their time, let's put it that way. But I have seen some of their videos, and it's like, I can't imagine living like that, because it just, to me, it would be too hard emotionally. But this is, I read to you what the twin flames relationship is supposed to be about. So that person being a mirror may mirror, may kind of elicit emotions within the other person that deal with insecurity and possessiveness, which is probably the outgrowth of insecurity. And that might be what the person needs. I'm not saying that this is true of everyone, please. But if there's any kind of a mentality that says this person is mine, I married this person, we have a contract. I could see a Capricorn person being really into the contract because it's tangible. It's proof of something. And then, using that as an excuse to basically regard the other person as their property in a sense. And this kind of thing could indicate. And also, again, I mentioned this for another sign about the Three of Swords, because I've gotten this more than once in the series so far. But not only don't we own anybody, but if they decide to be with somebody else, that doesn't mean that you stop loving that person. You don't have to, and you don't have to do anything about it. You can just love the person. But it's not that easy because there are usually implied demands within that love. I love you, therefore you have to be faithful to me. You can never leave me. You can never do this. You can never do that. Well, is that true? Who knows? I don't think so. I think that love is love. And what people do in their practical everyday life may not be what we think of when we think of love. The Three of Swords can also be about cutting something off very definitively. This could be, because I'll read to you what this position is again, what our lives look like after completing this lesson. There might be a break. That doesn't mean that it's forever. You can never lose your twin. That's the whole point. It may be the most exhilarating relationship that you'll ever have because it feels like such a part of you. Because it literally is, right? But you might not be able to live with this person during this lifetime forever and ever. There might be some twin flames where they break up, they reunite, they break up. I mean, when I hear people talking about it, it doesn't sound very pleasant to me. So maybe by telling you about the Three of Swords, maybe it'll feel like a sense of relief or something. I don't know. But it could simply be that you have to kind of like just cut it off very cleanly. Doesn't mean that you're going to do this forever. You may just say, well, this person's with somebody else. I'm not going to be the side chick. I'm going to, and I'm not necessarily going to wait either. I'm going to go get on with my life because this person claims that they can't make up their mind. Well, I've just made it up for them. And that doesn't mean that you lose that connection with that person. It just means that for that time being, that could be the best thing for them to not have you in their life, because then they can truly see how important you are. If you're, isn't there a saying, if you never leave, how can I appreciate you, or how can I miss you? Something like that. Okay. 6, something we can do to strengthen our bond. Run off and join the circus. Run off and have an adventure together. Travel. Do things that are not planned out. And especially, I think of all the things, I would say traveling to some place that you've never been before, that you don't know anybody. And both of you are exploring new territory with virgin eyes. this can help to keep you in the moment, to keep you from getting into your head too much, where you're just thinking about crossing off, touristy sites on your itinerary. But you're really getting into the adventure of it. Because to me, adventure symbolizes a certain kind of openness to life, where you're waiting for life to kind of like interact with you, and you're not just imposing yourself onto life, but you're like kind of drifting on the ocean. If you've ever, been in a rowboat, but you didn't, was it paddle? Do you paddle a rowboat? You didn't use your oars. You just kind of let the boat drift. I remember when I did that, I was in a forest preserve and I did that and I had so much fun. And I was with another person. And he was, I think, a little bit uptight, like, oh God, we can't do this. And I think we ended up hitting the bend or something, because we just let the boat drift, but he didn't want to. I didn't want to go in a certain direction. I just wanted to feel that sense of, pure potential that the Fool card actually represents. 7, a way that we can heighten our vibration. So this is talking about, the energetic part of you. The King of Wands. I think that, even on a mundane level that actually affects you energetically, King of Wands to me is an entrepreneur, or somebody who is like a very, like a self-made man, somebody who runs their own ship. So it could be that you need to unplug from, if you're working for somebody else, that you and this other person need to become more independent, because that could be creating problems as empaths. If you're working for other people, they're putting their own judgment, their own stuff onto you, even on a nonverbal sense, just vibrationally. And that over time can drag a person down, an empath down, because they feel the silent judgments. I think we all have had experiences, or maybe I'm just like really paranoid, but I've had situations where I didn't feel at ease with my environment, and I felt like other people were thinking certain things about me. I have that, and I think that people who are empaths tends to be like a default type of way that they operate. And the bottom line is that the more that you have control over your life, now we know that we don't have ultimate control. And if we're okay with that, it's really a dance between seeking control and knowing that we don't have it ultimately. And by seeking it, it gives us, ironically, it gives us more freedom to just allow things to happen as they will. But if you're somebody who feels very controlled by your workplace, by a relationship, by anything, and you don't assert yourself, it's almost like being a zombie. You're like at the mercy of somebody else. You're doing their bidding. You may disagree with what they're doing, and it doesn't feel right, the direction that they're going in. But what can you do about it? You're not, if you're working for them, you don't have your own business. So if you quit, you are quitting knowing that you have nothing to kind of fall back on. So the point is to become more independent, and then even if you're doing a side job and you're not even quitting your day job, but you always have something there, something that has the potential to grow, and just simply something that you can shape to be your own. And that way, that makes you feel like you are a conscious co-creator. And that does bring a certain amount of, I don't want to just even say self-esteem, but self-empowerment. Something that your twin is mirroring for you. Three of Pentacles. So we get another three. This is a card of the architect building a firm foundation. So perhaps they're mirroring this idea of teamwork. This is a cooperative card. Again, Capricorn is a cardinal sign. So you tend to be comfortable giving orders to others. And the real question, though, is, do other people appreciate that? How do people feel about you giving them orders? People in your life. If you are in a position of authority. The King of Wands, though, I think is even beyond, having some sort of, I don't want to say control, but if you are above other people and you're actually the boss, I don't really think that that's what the King of Wands represents here. To me, this is a more creative energy. And to me, this is you and another person becoming independent, self-empowered, and expressing your creativity, and that raises your vibration. Anytime that you're doing something creative, I believe it raises your vibration. But this is a practical thing that your twin is mirroring for you. Again, sometimes I think they're providing the contrast, so perhaps they're not being a team player. Maybe they have trouble keeping a job, and you're the responsible one. But what they are doing is they're mirroring the importance of that, perhaps. And 9, what you can do to help your twin reach their highest potential. The Hermit card. By you searching, see the lantern and the star? By you doing soul searching, self-inquiry, whatever you want to call it, Capricorn, and showing them how they can live a life that is meaningful, that is contemplative, silent, choosing silence, not always having to be out in the world and having some kind of stimulation, social stimulation, but having that sense of, I'm doing something that is personal to me. I'm tapping into my soul, that nobody else will understand this, because this is between me and God. And that's why it says, I've been like quoting the Bible, even though I don't even read it, but doesn't it say in the Bible, it says in the Bible somewhere, pray in secret. Meaning that, that's a sacred experience. It's like meditating. Secret can mean solitude, really. I mean, these words probably have multiple meanings. So it's not like saying, oh, you have to hide and do it, but that it's something that you're not necessarily doing it socially with other people present. You know what I'm saying? That's why the hermit, or we could even say like a monk, that's why they're known as being solitary. Because other people's opinions and input is simply not valid in your life. It isn't. Even if somebody comes to you and say, something, you're my best friend and I love you, but you really have a problem listening to other people. And if somebody comes to you in the spirit of friendship and wants to tell you something about yourself that they think is holding you back, or that you should improve upon because they think that it's harmful to relationships, that person may be very sincere, but even then, you have the choice of whether or not you're going to listen to them or not. And depending on how tuned into yourself that you are, this will mean that results may vary. Some people will get defensive and cut off the friendship. Some people will feel like a whipped dog and just try to do what the other person says. That to me isn't good either, because we have to decide for ourselves whether somebody is projecting something onto us. You know, maybe you're not doing this, but that other person is envious of a quality that you have, so they're making whatever you're doing out to be a bad thing. And sometimes you do need to change, but it might be difficult because you've done that behavior so many times. And it might take a while for you to get back in the groove. But the point is that the hermit is ultimately alone with themselves. I mean, we all are, at the end of the day, alone with ourselves. And, you know, there's that saying, we come into the world alone, we die alone. And while it might not be true literally, there might be people around when you're born and around when you die, but you go through that process because it's your own soul's process. And so, yeah, so I like this reading for you, Capricorn. I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.